Dearest gang of mine, got something special for you today. Back at the end of the year, I recorded a conversation with someone who I am lucky to call a creative pal of mine, Miss Susie Batiz. Susie is the creator of the Poo-Pourri bathroom spray. Yeah. So I recorded the interview and I never released it. So I'm going to release it with you now, this conversation we had. And here's an intro about Susie. At 38, Susie Batiz had lived through sexual and domestic abuse, depression, a suicide attempt, and was struggling through her second bankruptcy. At this point, most of us would accept circumstance as just who we are. Susie is not the rest of us. Through the experience of what she calls the luxury of losing everything, she began to experience shifts, an ease and a freedom that she had been seeking for years. Only a handful of years later, she built a deceptively simple idea for a new business, blending her love of essential oils with entrepreneurship and a simple, near-universal need. Her creation was the Poo-Pourri bathroom spray, a $400 million company built around bathroom odor. What Susie learned along the way was how to tune into her intuition and listen to her gut, her body's intelligence, to free her creative energies and achieve a naturally abundant flow state called resonance. Her story is about following ideas that feel alive. And it is some crazy shit.
Holy shit. That's all I can say. Holy shit. Prepare to get your minds blown. Today, here as my guest, I have a force of nature. I have none other than a lover of all things natural and all things supernatural, an entrepreneur, a empowerment guide. I have Susie Batiz here on the show, so I'm going to wait and for her to come and sign in. You guys are going to get your doors blown off today. I'm really looking forward to this conversation, and I'm glad we could make it happen. She's been very generous in giving us her time, so I'm glad that you guys are here. Let's see, what else? Have her sign on here. Hey, it's good to see y'all here. Adinia is here. JC, dude, you're awesome. Susie is here. Let's see. CC request to join. Really looking forward to this conversation, and I don't get nervous. I don't get nervous that often, and yet here I am. Hello, dear.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm extremely excited to have this conversation. Thank you.
Me too. You know, I had a few people message me as like, is it central? So hopefully I was like, oh, shit. I know we don't say that word.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think my group knows I'm in Texas time, but hey, I was mentioning earlier, just before you got on, that I don't get nervous. I don't get nervous talking to people. I don't get nervous going on stage. But as I shared with you earlier this morning, I'm like, I don't know if it's fanboy or what it is, but I was nervous, and I'm nervous now.
Oh, I thought you were nervous about the word shit.
No, well, I mean, I'm not nervous about that word. I'm just using it in conjunction with you or someone who I kind of respect but don't know that well. So,
Oh, we'll be nervous together. I'm a fan
okay,
of yours too.
and it's funny too because I don't know where it comes from. Uh, but this one story did come up, which so I've had two showings on the third floor of the Museum of Modern Art in New York, and the first show, I had 5 pieces up on the wall, and I brought my folks into town and took them to the museum, and we left the museum and I took them out to lunch, and my mother says, "Don't you do anything nice?" And I think that's kind of stuck to
Oh,
me. I think that stuck. And in our exchange, you said, it's about this kind of, and I know that you help people. You were an empowerment coach, and I think we both try to help people get over that training, that mindset that we get stuck in.
yes, yes. And I have to tell you, I had a story about New York. So when you're talking about MoMA, when I was 17, I designed a pair of denim pumps. My boyfriend worked at a shoe factory, and back then, 1981, um, you would wear colored pumps with a colored shirt, right? So I only had red and pink pumps because my job at Burger King and Pizza Hut, I could only afford that. And I thought, if these were denim, they would match everything. So my boyfriend's mother or aunt worked at a shoe factory. I cut up some jeans, some leather, get some shoes made, and I called Guess in New York. And I was like, hey, I made these denim pumps, right? And they were like, come see us. We're doing a
Yeah,
shoe line. So I go to my mom and I said, oh my God, I got to go to New York. And she said, you can't go to New York. You're just a little girl from Arkansas. They're going to chew you up and spit you out, right? So then let's fast forward to maybe even probably 2019, like 6 years ago. I was in New York and I called one of my friends, a creative coach, and I was like, I don't know what it is about New York. I'm comfortable in LA, all over the world, but New York, I feel uneasy. And she said, Susie, it was the dental pumps, right? And it just hit me. So then I go in and I do like EMDR and therapy right on that. And then the next time I was in New York, seriously, James, I was at one of those parties, with all the
yeah,
supermodels and all the people. And I was like, wow, what a difference, right? So
yeah,
that just shows how that inner work, right, is reflected external. And I was having these horrible New York experiences just because of when I was, 17.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
easy. That stays with us.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I had gone through some posts that you did, and there was one that I thought was fairly striking, and of course, it was from one of my heroes, Buckminster Fuller, and it
Um,
was a quote from Bucky that said, "The minute you begin to do what you really want to do, then you begin to live a really different kind of life."
that's
And I think
it.
that's what both of us try to put out in our work is getting people to kind of like allow that in themselves, allow themselves to be more comfortable in their own skin, even.
Yeah. And, the number one thing, and you may hear it too with people, if they want to be an entrepreneur, I'll say, well, what's holding you back? They're like, I'm scared. I could fail. And I said, you
Yeah,
could. Right? So
yeah,
once you realize you could fail, but really what is failing? Is failing not to even attempt it, or is failing you attempt it and it doesn't quite
yeah,
work? Because you always learn by at least going for it.
mhm,
When you just sit back and you don't, my experience is you don't learn a lot.
yeah,
So I would rather put myself in a learning opportunity, and at least I gain something in the process. And you start building up that muscle, don't you think, about being
yeah,
braver and braver over time? So
yeah.
it's literally taking that. I remember back in the day, all of the, oh, what was it called? All the manifestation. What was that first movie? The Secret.
Oh
And
yeah,
I was like, that's great. But what they're missing is action, right? It's like, yes, you can think the wonderful thoughts, you can do everything, but you got to start moving. The universe responds with action, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Action beats worry. Action beats too much thinking. Action always wins.
always wins, man. And that's what I see is that people, it's like you're going to be afraid. I just watched the series House of David. Have you seen that?
No.
It's so
Uh,
good.
okay.
I don't know a lot about the Bible. I'm trying to catch up, but
Write that down.
basically, yeah, it's number one. Most films in that genre aren't done well. This is done really beautifully. But I loved it. Like David's getting ready to go fight Goliath, and they were like, "How are you not afraid?" He's like, "I am afraid." Right? It's like, okay, that's for courage. That's the difference between, it's like, that's the definition of courage is being afraid, but going ahead and doing it anyway. And as long as you know you could fail and you set yourself up for that, like it could not work, and I'm going to have to, pet myself and be okay. But, once you make peace with that, I find then you can move
Yeah.
forward, not be
Yeah.
attached. That's the thing. People think that and I'd love to ask you, like in art, I want to come do a workshop with James. That's on my bucket list because I'm such a fan. I saw he does that. I'm like, oh, I just got chill
Change,
bumps right now.
change your world, baby. Change your
I
world.
want to do that. But, the thing is, it's like, I forgot where I was going, but basically, it's like, yeah, you can fail. That's absolutely true. Oh, James, this is really good. This is going to be really cathartic and therapeutic for me. Yeah, because
Well, it's funny. I think you chimed in when I had my gal Sophia here. So Sophia and I have been working together, and she decided to come here and do it live. And when she was just, I showed her a bunch of new tools that she hadn't worked with, and she was making stuff, and she was looking at the whole body of work and going, "This is all a failure." And I just was able to like take these two pieces, put them together, and look at and say, "Look at this. Look what you did. If you stop coming from that with those fucking glasses on,
yes,
if you stop coming from a place of fear,
yes.
because I think, what we, especially when it comes to action, it's telling the universe that we want this. It's telling the universe that we're ready to make these moves past the fear.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. I remember I was always really great at art, and I had something happen in college. I took art for non-majors or something, right? And there was this I grew up in Arkansas, okay? So he said, bring in something that you, like a still life you want to paint. Everybody else had like fruit and stuff. I brought in a piece of wallpaper because I liked the little cherry blossoms on the wallpaper. And we're in this, auditorium setting, and I go down, I'm asking him a question, and he goes, "Is this wallpaper?" I can still hear it reverberating in my head.
Wow.
And he's like, "Yes." And he goes, "Why do you have wallpaper?" And I'm like, "Well, I like the flowers." And he gives me this, "Oh, well, there's the, you know, I don't know, whatever Chinese dynasty of flowers." And I left the class. He ended up giving me like a C in it, even though I never finished it. But it'll be really therapeutic for us because I just remembered that. Like I got sweaty, like going, "Oh my God, wallpaper,"
Well,
and then I
it's
abandoned
funny.
art.
Two things that are very funny here. One, it is because I deal with a lot of artists who take jobs that are fringe to what they want. There's not really what they want. It's close to the action
Yes.
because of the fear. And two, it is amazing how an art instructor can completely shut somebody down, and often do. It's nuts.
Yeah. So
It's
are you
nuts.
going to be there with me if I'm just crying and no, I'm not joking.
Well,
I had
listen.
I had a similar trauma with voice. My father was a musician and used to get on to me. So I was dating this musician. He gets me in with this guy who trained like Whitney Houston and Andre Bocelli. Our very first hour, he just had to hold me while I cried. Now, but seriously, he goes sing, and I was like, ah.
Yeah. Well,
So we do have those traumas, but they're also an opportunity for us to overcome, right?
yeah. And your flowers, your wallpaper. I
Yeah.
mean, you're using that in your product now, aren't you?
Exactly.
I mean, it's
See how that worked
it,
out?
it's a recurring motif, and it should be. Again, that's what the book that you're involved in, the Hey Weirdo. That's one of the cruxes of the book is if you can go back and find those things that you love and those things that you fear, and put them in your work, put them in your vocabulary, take charge of those and own those, it'll change your life.
Wow. I love that. And I love also speaking about it. I think, was it Anne Lamont, maybe in Bird by Bird?
Sure.
I think it's her. She says something about whatever you most fear, paint it red. Was that her? Yeah,
Yeah.
and I get chill bumps right now. It's like, let's talk about those fears.
Yeah.
I just told you, and I said I may come and do this with you, and we may cry for a couple of days, and then and then maybe I'll pick up the
Yeah.
paintbrush. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen, but just the process itself and taking that action, right? Which what we thought were weird, which is what you talk about. I felt so weird then. It's like, oh my God, something's wrong with me. I brought wallpaper to an art class. You know? Yeah.
You mentioned that word weird. I gotta tell you, I didn't want that that word on the cover. And I didn't want to be associated with that word because I heard it so much in my life that it became a slur. And I am not 100% comfortable with it. I know its power, and I know I know that what can come when we accept that
Mhm.
and move past that. Again, start using it, becoming more comfortable. But I hate that word.
Well, it's because, yeah, that's it. You go back to grade school, and I, again, I have all these stories, but I remember, my clothes were all homemade. And I remember in second grade, all the girls were sitting over there laughing, right? And I didn't know something was wrong, right? And all of a sudden I looked down and I'm like, oh my gosh, my granny made these, right? And that was the moment. Probably that's why I'm so much into fashion now. I was traumatized, but it's those things that we thought made us weird that actually now I love. I make my own clothes. I work with, different sewers, and now it's such a strength. And people are like, oh, I love that. And I'm like, thank you. I had it made, I made it. So it's like taking that energy that we thought was so made us wrong into amplifying it. That's actually what makes us unique and stand out in the world.
Yeah, I also think that for you as an entrepreneur, when what you do that is so strong is that you incorporate all of these things that you love: the dance, creativity, your own particular sense of humor, how you own that word shit.
Yep.
It's all so powerful. Again, holy shit, for me to like put that someplace, or I made that little rotating, um, um, uh, lose your shit, or what is it? Let that shit go. Let that shit go. Which is,
Yes.
tribute that to you. I mean, that's powerful
It
stuff.
really is. And there's a lot of power in shit. So one of the things in Live OS that I teach, the very first lesson we do, it's called Harvest. And it's like, write down all this horrible stuff that happened to you. Now write down what good came out of it. We start harvesting and pulling, right?
Yeah,
Because shit is fertilizer. It really is, and that's what's funny about Poo-Pourri. I'm like, I didn't create it because I thought people were embarrassed. I didn't like the smell of bathroom odor, right? You shouldn't be embarrassed about a biological function.
yeah, yeah,
To me, it's like, and by design, we don't want to be near it because it's a biological response that we shouldn't eat it, So it's a natural process that we maybe don't want to share with everyone, and that's fine, but not to be embarrassed of it, right? So let's
yeah,
just let all the shit go.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I have to remind creatives all the time that everybody poops. Listen, don't fall in love with your work. Everybody poops. Get over it.
That's the attachment to the work, right? It's like that work means something about me versus I think that's why I can, do a brand and it may work and it may not. And I'm like, okay, whatever, it's just God gave it to me and I did it and it's not, whatever.
Uh-huh.
I'll do something and keep rolling.
Um, I think there's another aspect of you that is extremely powerful in that your ability to listen to your gut, ability to listen to what you want. I mean, that's where Poo-Pourri came from. A lot, I believe a lot of your business decisions come from that.
They do. And that happened because in my second bankruptcy, um, I call it the luxury of losing
I
everything.
love that. Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you are down on your knees, like you start looking back, right? And kind of reassessing stuff. And what I realized was there's so many moves that I made because I thought I had to do it, right? some of those really kind of slimy business things that you do, like I'll have your back and you'll have mine. And those are really pretty gnarly energetically when you kind of unwind it. So I had that time to really go, shit, I lost everything. But what feels worse than losing everything was the way I went about trying to get it, right?
Mm,
So what I vowed to myself is that I wouldn't override those feelings inside no matter what. Because I said, okay, if I can lose everything again, which you can at any
mm,
moment, things happen. That was the stock market crash. I don't know what's going to happen, but at least I want to be in a position where I know within my being that I did the best I could and I didn't make those compromises, because those compromises create energetic leaks, and they usually never work
yeah.
out in my experience. And I'm not saying I still haven't done it. I do from time to time when I want something, right?
Mm,
That's when I have the tendency to compromise. So I have to really check myself and
yeah.
keep people around me, to make sure, because when we want something, we can kind of, I'll just put myself, I can kind of have blinders, like, it'll be okay. It'll be
Yeah.
okay. I'll just ignore that. I'll ignore that feeling down there. This one's going to work out. It never does.
Your idea of the luxury of losing everything is beautiful, and the way I phrase it to a lot of people that I have to work for is that I or get to work with is I'm trying. A lot of people come to me and they have a job, and it's not their job. They're like, oh, my job doesn't let me do this, and my boss doesn't. I'm like, no, 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 no. You're using the word my. It ain't your. You're in the wrong fucking place. But we got to figure out how you're going to get to the right place. But the problem is, they do have a job and it is paying them, so they don't have that fire under their ass. They don't have that luxury of losing everything. So there's a perspective shift that has to happen to put them in that place, right, and turn them on to themselves.
That's it, because I'll tell you, you don't have a lot of distractions, like I said. And the only reason I call it the luxury is I took the time to dig in, right? And kind of go, what happened and what I do. And if I'm going to move forward, how am I going to do it differently? Because it doesn't feel good,
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, I said, I want to have fun and I want to feel good, right?
Yeah,
So if I could lose everything again, I want to be like, I felt good, you know? Yeah.
yeah. Did it on my own terms.
Did it on my
Yeah.
own terms, man. And I have made calls, and it's hard as a leader, when you trust your gut and you deal with so many people. Well, as an artist, you're more right brain, right? But our whole world, generally speaking, we are programmed to be left brain thinkers, which
Yeah.
I can tell you, I think people are in a lot of trouble right now because we got something now that can out left brain us. What are you going to do?
Uh,
I believe that's where our right brain is going to be more valuable.
mhm.
So I really do think we should probably get more into that right brain thinking.
Yeah.
Because I actually think that's what's going to save humanity. We can get off on that roll, but
Yes. Anytime I have a conversation about AI, my answer is always humanity. My answer is always that. What we naturally have, innately have, if we can allow it, again, we have the lack of perfection. We have our flaws. We have our goofy sense of humor. We have our foibles and our loves and our fears. And those are powerful things. Those are powerful
right.
tools.
And we have that GPS system that's inside us, right? That is that gut
Yeah.
feeling. My daughter called the other day and she's like, Mom, I have this feeling in my stomach and I'm not sure whether I'm afraid or whether it's a feeling that I shouldn't do this. So I was trying to
Uh,
explain to her the difference, right? Of when you're afraid, it's more like you're on a roller coaster. It's more of an up motion in your belly, right? It's like,
Interesting.
oh, like that. And when it's a bad one, it's like a thump. It's
Oh,
like, you
that's
know,
good. That's
yeah,
good.
yeah. So it's important because they can, if you're not attuned to the difference, you can just be like, I have a feeling in my belly. Well, yeah, you have that when you're in love, butterflies, right? It's to know, like, and start to distinguish the difference in that.
Hmm. Yeah,
Hmm.
what is it? The body holds the secret. What is it? Your gut knows. Your gut.
It does hold the secret.
Yeah,
Yeah,
your head lies to you.
it's creative. I learned that
Yeah.
by Byron Katie, that the mind is creative. It's creating stories, it's creating narratives, it's bringing back the past to warn you, right? It's all of that, but the body knows the truth.
Yeah.
right? So the
Yeah.
body is the one that's the storehouse,
Yeah.
right? And it's
Uh,
like, yeah.
it comes from stoicism. We suffer more in our imagination than in reality because our minds are so creative that we create. And I've got an 8-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son. I have to get them to understand your mind makes this shit up. It's not real.
You know where I learned that? Byron Katie. She said, all mind belongs on paper.
Uh,
And that's
uh,
what you can do. That's why journaling, I don't really do that because I think I did so much work with her. I was able to sort of unpack a lot. But that's why journaling, because it puts those thoughts from being creative down to something solid into physical
mm,
form, right? Otherwise, the mind is just up there going crazy. It's
yeah,
creative and be.
spinning its wheels,
it,
spinning.
it gets me in New York going, you're that little girl from Arkansas still, you know?
Yeah. And for anybody who doesn't understand why we're talking, is that Susie is one of the voices in this new book, Hey Weirdo. One of 8, actually 9, because my voice is in there as well now. Um, and Susie, I got to tell you, people really resonate with that with your contribution. It really makes sense to them, which is really cool.
Oh, thank you so much. It was such an honor and such a surprise. I'm always so, wow, I get a little emotional. It's a really big honor. Thank you. It
Mm,
is. You know, since I was a little girl, all I wanted is for everybody to know they can create any life they want, you know, and that was my mission is to, oh, thank you for spelling that for her. Um, I, you know, and that is, it's just really great. So thank you. It fills my heart, you know, when someone is inspired. And that's the only reason I live a life of transparency and to try to talk about some of this shit,
mhm.
right? It's because, yeah, I've been there, done it. It doesn't mean anything, you know, like let's just move on. But I think it's the silence that keeps things intact. So I appreciate you bringing the story forward. And, you know, it's not about money. It's about human potential,
Yeah,
like you said, you
yeah,
know, and
and
that's it.
not about money, but it is about abundance, right?
Yes, abundance. That's
Yeah,
it. That's the key word. You know, people think abundance means money. I'm like, money's not going to make you happy. Trust me. I've had it. I've not, you know,
yeah,
it's all gamuts of it. And that's not at the end of the day what really, really makes you
yeah,
happy. Does it make life easier? Of course, right? You know, and are there things that are benefits? Everything does. And you should be abundant. It's our nature. You look at any tree, go tell a tree it shouldn't be abundant.
yeah,
Every spring, it just grows tons of leaves and then it just throws them out, right?
yeah,
It throws them out. It goes into that process, right? And that's another thing about abundance. People think that it's this linear line. Well, there are, just like everything has seasons, you know, our life has seasons, you
mhm,
know, and it can go up and down. And it just depends on, do you want to be on that ride or do you want to be on this ride where you're not so attached to it all, right? Knowing that it's going to go up. Oh, great. I made a lot of money. Oh, shit. I lost a lot of money. You know, if you take that ride, man, which I've done, it's not
yeah,
fun.
yeah, yeah. That was a great metaphor with the tree too, because one of the economic influences that for me is this idea that don't follow the sales spiral, follow the tree of life, which I thought was pretty interesting.
James,
You
I
know,
am I'm
as a
working on
memorable
quantum
graphic.
energy. Yes, I have this quantum project going on that the world will find out about in a few months, but it's really about going back to the tree of life before the tree of knowledge of good and evil,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, like that's where we really live in abundance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. So people should find out more at susiebatiz.com or AOS, Alive as Shit.
Yes, and get that book. It's super awesome. I love that you're bringing out, and I love you use the word weird because I think people can resonate with that. Everyone at some point in their life, they were weird about something, you know, whether you wore the wrong thing to a cocktail party or, I can think of a
Yeah,
million scenarios where I walk in the room and I'm like, oh shit,
yeah,
I'm not doing it right, you know?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's the big things and the little things that it's okay to stand out and be different.
Yeah. I walk in and I've got a pink cowboy shirt on and I'm like, okay, I'm the weirdo. That's groovy.
Here's
Let's
where we
go.
get, and people probably flock
Let's
to you, you know,
go.
because, and also, oh, thank you. She said, live always changed your life. Thank you so much. It changed mine too. Um, so the thing about it though is that weirdness in us is really our
Yeah.
superpower. And it's what, you know, we're in such a world of such mass, you know, I don't even know what you call it, just bleh, you know, where things have been stripped away just for
Mhm.
consumption. And we value those things that are unique, that are different. The hand piece of art, which is getting framed right now, I'll be posting on Instagram. He sent me a beautiful
Ah,
piece of art.
yes.
So anyway, thank you. But you know, it's those pieces that are really the most valuable,
Yeah.
you know, and that's the same thing within ourselves. Those characteristics, you
Mhm.
know, are what make us stand out. And
Yes.
I think it's our nature to not want to stand out. And that's again just old reptilian brain
Yeah.
of survival.
Yeah.
You know, if I stand out, I'm gonna get hurt,
Yeah.
you know, which is not
I,
true.
I believe it is a sin to keep our real selves hidden.
Right now, you're thinking, oh man, I wish James Victori could be my mentor, my guru. Hell, I wish he was my coach. Well, you can make that happen. Go to yourworkisagift.com. There's a questionnaire that will probably help you out, but it'll also give you access to a free call. So let's talk. Let's free you from overwhelm and creative frustration. Let's build your business and help you get paid to do what you love. Again, go to yourworkisagift.com. Let's talk.
Right?
It absolutely is. And what was that in the Gospel of Thomas? Gay Hendricks taught me there's a quote, and it says something about if you don't bring forth what's inside you, it will destroy you. But if you bring it forth, it will kind of make you. That's not it, obviously, but it's something like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like that thing that's within us.
Yeah.
And I got to grow up with artists. That's why I'm passionate about people. They gave up their art after I was born and they lived lives of addictions, you know, my parents, and they really suffered. And I saw what it's like to not bring that forth.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of creative energy stored in you. So get inspired by James, buy the book and be weird. And we'll, maybe we'll get people on and maybe we should video my process about whenever I do the workshop,
Oh,
right?
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Hear
Listen,
y'all.
you, there's a phrase that I'm fond of and popular of your work is a gift. Susie, your work is truly a gift. Thank you. I appreciate your time here, and thank you so much for coming on here.
Thank you so much. Be sure and save this so that we can let a lot more people see it.
You bet.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Appreciate it. Bye bye.